Welcome, NoDQ Galaxy. We are back for the NoDQ review 25. 25 times I have done this. Aaron Rift has done this. And we are joined with a couple oldies but goodies. How's it going, TJS and
It's
certified
going.
Jeff?
It's going well, man. How are you, Jeff? How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm excited to be on the NoDQ review with the boss man, Aaron Rift, and Mr. Virtue himself, and TJS, of course.
Happy 4th of
Good
July,
times,
everyone.
good times.
Yeah,
Now,
you
I
see
see-
the turtle.
It's happy
Jeff
4th.
Warren.
Happy 4th. So,
I see TJS, you are in a bunker that has its own bathroom.
Of course, yes. Underground right now. Just preparing for the zombie apocalypse. Should be any day now.
Good times. Well, you know, we have a jam-packed lineup like we always do for the NoDQ review. But before I start, Aaron Rift, what's up, man? Weren't you going to make this all about infomercials for the 20% off on pro wrestling tees?
Well, now that you mention it, NoDQ.com shirts. We have a bunch of shirts up there right now. Only 20% off. That's all I can offer you guys. 20% off. But hey, it's something. It's better than nothing. You could pick up a Big Jeffrey t-shirt, Big G. You could pick up a TJS t-shirt. We have a Stephen Osborne, Wizard of NoDQ t-shirt. We have a Cindy t-shirt. We have a Kayfabe Candy Ass t-shirt. We even have that nice little patriotic red, white, and blue NoDQ.com t-shirt that Big G is wearing. So head over there, 20% off only. But hey, it's a nice little deal. That's 1/5 of the price reduced. Go check it out. NoDQ.com/shirts. Do it now.
What's that code word? America?
America.
America. That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, all right. Well, where do I start? I wrote these in order, but it's like I thought I could segue into something more patriotic. But that's okay. We'll start with Elias. Aaron Rift, you and I were at Money in the Bank. We timed it. He had a match with Seth Rollins that went about 18 minutes from bell to bell. And then ever since, he's disappeared. He cut a full-length song the night after on Raw. I believe the following week he wasn't even on, unless I missed it. And then this past week, he got showed up by the Riot Squad. I mean, that's the way I took it. So what does everybody think? Does Creative not have anything for Elias? Were they not happy with his match with Seth? Or is he in the doghouse maybe? Big G, certified G. Jeff, I'm going to start with you.
all right. So, in my opinion, at this moment, I don't think they have anything creatively for him. But you don't need anything creatively for him. Have him go out there, have him do a song, disrespect the crowd, get the heel heat, and then maybe later down the road, have him enter this feud with Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins for the IC title. I mean, I really enjoyed his match at Money in the Bank. So that's all I have to say about that. TJS, what do you got to say?
Well, I mean, it felt like Elias was just on fire. Before Money in the Bank, I was like, man, this guy is really just getting in his own. He's in this nice little groove. He's over with the crowd. This would be the perfect time for him to win the Intercontinental Championship because it's the workhorse title, Back in the day, the Intercontinental Championship was actually elevated, so then you could transition on to the World Championship. But no, they had Elias lose to Seth, not even in a decisive way. They had him get rolled up with the tights, and like Virtue said, not much has come of Elias ever since then, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I don't think he's in the doghouse, because if he was in the doghouse, I think that he would have lost more cleanly, per se. Right. But he lost with a roll-up with the tights, and, you would be entitled to a rematch, but I guess not, because they wanted to give the title to Dolph, somebody that hasn't been relevant in some years, because making new stars isn't a thing for WWE, I guess. Isn't that right, Virtue? What do you think?
Well, I want to ask Aaron, so that one where he cut the whole 3-minute song, he was talking about the Universal title and Brock Lesnar and potentially being in a match where you could win it to go on. So do you think the plans that got nixed for that whole scenario, now we have Lashley and Roman, did that maybe confuse creative and management, and they just literally don't know what to do with Elias, and he's getting these backstage segments?
That actually makes perfect sense because there are other guys that really have nothing going on right now, like Bobby Roode. One might think that perhaps Bobby Roode was supposed to be in that multi-man match, and WWE decided to scrap it. And when that happened, the creative team just didn't come up with anything for the guys that were left out of the mix. So maybe after the pay-per-view, after Extreme Rules, we'll have a better idea of where things stand with Elias and if they'll do something different with him, if they'll put him back into the IC title mix or give him a new feud. It's just a real shame because I feel like he's been one of the best parts of Raw, and now he's starting to cool off.
Well, let's segue. Jeff, did you have something else?
Yeah, just in general, I know these guys make tons and tons of money, but I feel bad for them because they're not able to do what they love to do. They just sit in the background, just sitting there collecting a paycheck, not going out there to show what they can do.
Right.
I think
Well, on television, but they do get to perform at house shows. A lot of the time,
house shows, yeah.
When we don't see people on television, they're out 20, 30 minutes in front of the crowd at house shows.
Yeah.
I want to segue that my next topic was, should John Cena be at SummerSlam? And I was remembering Elias and Cena looked to have potentially what could have been a great feud if Cena wasn't part-time and maybe involved with something else. So if Cena's at SummerSlam, or if he's not, should he be? And you just throw him in a main event match, or do you have him work with someone to elevate them, which is what I believe you should do. We're gonna just do the same thing throughout the show. I'm gonna start with you, Jeff, and then you'll pass it on to Tyler and then to Aaron. So thoughts on Cena and SummerSlam?
Well, in my opinion, I don't think Cena should be at SummerSlam this year. He's been in the business for a long time now. Let the younger talent get their time in. He's out doing movies. He's got Transformers coming out November. He's got other projects going on, Tota Bellas, all that other good stuff. But if he did have a match at SummerSlam, I would like to see him against Elias because it looked like they were having a good feud and then it just kind of went away. TGS?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Big G. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. We never got proper closure as far as that feud goes. But how would you even do that? Would you just have Cena come back and then just be like, Elias, I want to fight you because we didn't fight before? Or would you have Elias...
TJS, I'm a moderator. That's what we do is we interrupt. What if they had a show in Massachusetts and Elias was cutting a promo against Boston, wherever? That would be a great time to bring Cena in. But I don't know what their schedule is. I don't know if they have a show up there.
Have him wear like a Yankees jersey or something and then trash the Red Sox and then have Cena come. That would be good. That would be something at least, instead of just having Cena show up and just be like, hey guys, me and Nikki broke up, but I'm still here. I'm going to work SummerSlam. I don't know. I don't really think Cena needs to be there because, people buy SummerSlam just for the name, just like for WrestleMania. And honestly, I don't think anyone really cares what John Cena's doing anymore because he has one foot out the door, basically. Aaron, what do you think?
I think that he should only be there if there is something significant for him to do and something different. I've heard speculation, rumor, and innuendo, as they might say on the Bruce Pritchard show, that John Cena is going to maybe face The Undertaker again, which I'm not a fan of. I really don't have any interest personally in seeing that match again. Undertaker beat him. It was just a quick 4 or 5 minute match. I don't really have the desire to see that match again. However, if Cena was going to come back and maybe work a program with somebody he hasn't faced yet in a one-on-one match like Samoa Joe, then I might be interested in it if the end result is Joe getting elevated and being taken to the next level. So if it's somebody like Samoa Joe, then I would not be opposed to it. But otherwise, I say there's no need to bring him back unless you really have something different for him to do that he hasn't done before.
Well, it's SummerSlam, and people are so sick of Roman, and they're not going to turn him heel. At this point, bring back John Cena and have him be the one that calls out Lesnar. because Lesnar's not wanting to work and defend his title, and just book it. I know we've seen it before. I know we had a squash match, so to speak, with all those suplexes at a past SummerSlam. But why would I suggest this? Just like if you would have Roman face Brock again, maybe that's a way to get the Universal title off Brock. Cena, now that would be breaking the record for Cena. That to me is weird because this Universal title to me is just not in the same class as the WWE title and also the WCW title, but whatever. But, say Cena broke the record and won it, or even if it was Roman, that's where Strowman cashes in and the fans go home happy either way. So I think Cena should be at SummerSlam in some type of big match because it's John Cena.
What if you just have Cena host SummerSlam, That's really not a match or anything, but you just have him appear, just be like the host of SummerSlam, John Cena, kind of like New Day host of WrestleMania and The Rock host of WrestleMania. That would make SummerSlam feel like a bigger deal than what it already is if you have a big name hosting it. So
you could. It's John Cena, and you don't want to waste his valuable years. He still can go. So again, the fans are so unhappy with the main event scene. If Vince likes going to his well, but it's not working with Roman, John Cena, right? He's the answer.
Yep.
Speaking of Roman, this is an interesting topic by one of my arch rivals. He asked the question, why is Roman Reigns? Why has he never been on the cover? And if he has been, correct me. Why has he never been on the cover of WWE 2K games? Jeff.
Oh, boy. So, let's see. We've had CM Punk on there. We've had The Rock. We've had Brock Lesnar. We've had Stone Cold, Steve Austin. We've had John Cena. And this year we have AJ Styles. So, why have they never put...
Rollins? Did you say Rollins, too?
Oh, yeah, Rollins, too. Yes, thank you. So... why have they never put Roman on 2K19? I think if they did, people wouldn't buy the video game whatsoever. I don't think many people buy it anyways, because I heard people said they don't like the 2K versions of it. I've played a couple 2K WWE in the past years, but Roman is such a big name himself, he doesn't really need to be on a 2K cover, in my opinion. TGS?
Well, I don't know. I don't really think that people pay attention to the cover star when they're buying the game because, you're buying that game because you buy it every year, which is what I do. And I play it, even though I don't really like it. It's just...
Hey, TGS, Peyton Hillis, a Cleveland Brown, was on the cover of Madden once. So you're right. Who cares about who's on the cover? The game sells, right? But I've heard bad things about 2K, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when you're a cover star, I guess it's just a nice payday, and you can just say that you're on the cover of a video game. I don't know why Reigns isn't on the cover. I feel like he will be eventually, probably next year. I just feel like it was time for AJ Styles to be on the cover since he's just been on fire since he came into WWE. And sure, there might be some online backlash for Roman being on the cover, but people are still going to buy it, I think. I don't know. The games are okay, and like I said, people don't buy it solely for who's on the cover. Aaron?
Right, and I feel like it might make a slight difference, but do people really buy a video game based on who's on the cover? Would it really make that much of a difference? I think that WWE might not put him on the cover like Big G said because he just doesn't need to be on the cover, and I feel like the game is geared towards an adult audience, the audience that doesn't like Roman Reigns. So why even bother with it? It's not really necessary. Roman doesn't need it. Give the publicity to somebody who could benefit from it, somebody who might actually move a few more video games, somebody like an AJ Styles who appeals to the core audience that is buying that video game. So that's why I think it's the case. Virtue, your thoughts?
It's sad that you say that we think that it's geared towards a an older audience. I mean, what's the demographic for WWE today? Isn't it like 40-something years old?
Yeah, but I'm guessing it's like people in their, adult males in their 20s and early 30s.
But it's a video game. It should be geared towards kids, and Roman should be on the cover. And I believe, for everything that you guys said, he's probably not because of the backlash from the Smarks and the Roman haters. So he's not. First of all,
if they're a minority, then do it. If they're a minority, just do it then.
Well, hold on, I'm getting to my point. He's headlined 4 consecutive Manias. Now, everybody says it doesn't matter if he headlines 4 Manias and goes on last. Mania sells itself. To me, a video game sells itself. I think that they're waiting. I think he's going to be on the 2020, or I don't know how many years the 2K version has been out, but has it been 10 years yet, or no, since 2K's taken over? He'll be like
2013, I believe, is when CM Punk.
Yeah, they're saving him for something special, I think, and he will be on a future cover of it. And who knows? Maybe WWE goes in a new direction, and with all the bad backlash that the 2K games have gotten with quality, especially porting to the different systems, maybe they'll go back to now. Aaron, I know you want No Mercy. I don't even know if that company's around anymore, but maybe they'll find developers, a new developer. Where what's the one that does Madden? Could they make a wrestling game?
Why not just have a cover with
2K?
a lot of people?
No, they do. EA.
EA, is that different than 2K? So
yeah.
Maybe there'll be something, Vince McMahon and getting his big deals like Fox and all that. Maybe there's something bigger for the video game that we don't know about coming up, and that's when they're going to make Roman on it. But I don't know. Good topic, because you know what? Yeah. He's been the WrestleMania guy, but he hasn't been on the cover of the video game. Anybody else before we move on?
Oh, not really. I mean,
interesting.
It'll happen when it happens, right?
Just like we finally got to see again on Raw Dr. Shelby. It was a meaner Dr. Shelby, or a crazier Aaron. That one picture that was on the internet, he looked like he was the one that needed counseling or psychiatry work.
Doing with them, yeah.
But here we are.
That show, I think we would all need counseling.
Everybody knows I've criticized the Sasha and the Bayley angle is Saved by the Bell. This Team Hell No thing is coming across way lamer than 5 years ago. And to me, I see the same rinse and repeat. It's almost like the writers kind of whatever they're doing with Sasha and Bayley, they're writing now for Kane and Daniel Bryan in that cheesy, bickering format. So I guess my question is this, Jeff, is Team Hell No coming across like Sasha and Bayley, or is it better, or is it worse? And I know we only had a couple of weeks so far, but I am seeing a parallel. Copy and paste. What do you think?
That's exactly what it is. Virtue. Copy and paste, rinse and repeat, whatever you want to call it. Now, don't get me wrong. The only thing that I enjoyed yesterday from this whole Bayley and Sasha was Dr. Shelby himself. I mean, the way he just came off, I was laughing my butt off. I don't know why. I just like that stupid comedy, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Do you like the poo-poo comedy that Vince McMahon likes, where everybody's got to get covered in the toilet liquid?
No. Now, as far as Team Hell No, like I said last week on our show, I'm kind of glad that they're back. You know, it's been about 5 years since we've seen them. But is it better or worse than Sasha? I think it's a little bit better than Sasha and Bayley because we've seen it before. We know what to expect from them, too. Sasha and Bayley, are they going to team up and, as Kayfabe Candy Ass said, team all hell no girl or something like that? I don't know. It's I think in my opinion, it's better than Sasha and Bayley.
Let me ask you. Well, okay, Jeff, let me ask you this. Back in 2013, during the first round of Team Hell No, were we quite in the G era yet, the PG era? Was it still a little, because Punk was still around too, so were we not quite in the PG era yet? Maybe that's why I think it was better before. What do you think?
I think so. Back then, obviously, it was a little bit better because we were not really, like you said, in the PG era, but now we are, so they do have to tone it down just a little bit. Because it's more family friendly.
Well, remember round 2 of Degeneration X? All right. Yeah. Well, round 2, round 3, round 4. TJS.
Yeah. why are we doing this? Why are Bailey and Sasha going to counseling? Like, it's so dumb. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you look at their NXT feud, it was so much better because Sasha was a vicious and Bailey was the babyface. It was very black and white, no shades of gray. You knew who was good, who was bad, and now we have just this very confusing mess of a feud with I don't know who the babyface is, who the heel is. We have this bad acting, these terrible backstage segments. The only good thing about this feud has been the beatdown of Bailey on Sasha that happened a few weeks ago.
Right.
And this feud started because Sasha eliminated Bailey from a match that was every woman for herself. It just doesn't make sense to me. The Team Hell No stuff, I feel like it was original because it was the first time we'd seen like Kane in really that setting of counseling. And I actually was rewatching it, and it shows the clip of Kane in anger management, and he talks about because they say, what makes you angry, Kane? And then he's like, well, it started when I was trapped in my basement from my parents, and I suffered like severe psychiatric disorders. I set my brother on fire several times, buried him alive, trapped my father in a meat. He goes over all of his history, and I just thought that was funny because everyone was just looking at him like, oh. And I don't know. I felt like it was funnier back then. And of course, what WWE does is they make something funny, and then they think it's cool, so they keep pushing it till it's not funny anymore, which is what they're doing right now with the whole Bailey Sasha thing. They're trying to get them over like they did Team Hell No. And I think they've gone about this feud completely wrong. I think that they should have built up to a split and then actually split them, not do this whole stupid counseling angle. I hate it. Aaron?
Yeah, basically,
Now, Aaron,
I have a comedy.
I have a question for you. So the first round of Team Hell No, Brian wasn't a main eventer yet, right? I mean, he dabbled into the world title thing and got beat by Sheamus in 18, however many seconds.
Yeah.
Jeff, Greg. Oh, wait, they're not here this week.
Oh.
Is this time maybe if I'm affected by not liking this because I think Brian should be instant since he came back. Instant main event. And the fact that, remember, we've talked about him and Miz, and the Miz just lost. There, I brought it up, Jeff. The Miz just lost again on SmackDown this week.
Yep.
And that's not doing any favors for that feud in the future. I'm just thinking stars not being in main event spotlight. Getting wasted. So, Aaron, is that what's maybe making me not like this?
Well,
what do you think?
I just think that it was better when it was original and fresh and when they're just copying what they did in the past. Basically, it's a nostalgia act with Daniel Bryan and Kane. And I think they did have a few funny moments. And like TJS said, it's funny when Kane does the throwbacks to like his feud with The Undertaker and talks about how he set his brother on fire, and that was funny, but the dialogue just feels really forced, and the humor feels forced. It doesn't feel like it's coming naturally. That's my biggest issue with it, but overall, I still think the Team Hell No stuff was better than Sasha Bailey. Who would have predicted 6 months ago that Sasha and Bailey would be doing therapy and this would turn into comedy? I certainly didn't. I thought one of them was going to turn a heel, and they would actually have a standard heel versus face feud, but we haven't really gotten that, and it sucks. I don't know what else to say about it.
So much for taking the Four Horsewomen seriously. I mean, Becky just doesn't seem to get pushed properly. Now Sasha and Bailey are fighting like high school, girls.
Yeah.
And Charlotte, she's been obviously the biggest star out of the four, but even her, she lost to Carmella, and she's kind of not been around since.
Well, she had her breast implant surgery.
Yeah, well, but I remember in the day you could still do pre-tapes and keep the characters on TV while they were out doing stuff like that. But let's not be creative. Because it's 2018.
I mean, they don't have the time to do it. They don't even have time for Naomi or Lana or any of the other women that are actually able to go out there.
They're lazy, Aaron. You know that. I know you're being sarcastic. It's just they're lazy. Let's get to the next town and do the next thing.
I mean, yeah. If it was your boy Vince Russo, they'd find something to do for everybody.
I mean, it's TJS.
I was gonna say I smell a 3-hour show coming on Fox.
Well,
Just have
people are telling me that Fox has strict guidelines with that, and they have their news right afterwards, so it would be really difficult for them to change the time slot around. But I mean, I would say anything's possible because if Fox feels there's more money to make with the third hour, then there's going to be a third hour, and they'll somehow make it work. But
I think it started earlier or something. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Alrighty, well, it's not time for the main event yet, which I think everyone's going to enjoy that. But let's talk about this topic. Jeff, we have Impact Wrestling, used to be known as TNA.
Okay.
We have NWA, Billy Corgan trying to do a more old school approach to wrestling.
Yeah.
We have Ring of Honor / New Japan because a lot of the guys cross over. You were just recently at a Ring of Honor event, and Aaron, you're going to a New Japan event. So
yes,
perfect timing. We have Lucha Underground, which to me doesn't come across like a wrestling promotion. It's just more like a TV show. Still have to catch up on it, by the way. Aaron, out in California, you've been to PWG.
Yeah.
We have AIW here in Cleveland. And is this the growth of the indie revolution? I just feel like so many fans are saying this indie promotion's good, this one's great, this one's good. Are all these are these becoming like territories now, like we used to have back in the day? And instead of going to WWE, they're going to WWE, but in a different way. NXT is now the big stage for these indie workers, because the reason why I say that is, sure, you go to NXT, you develop, you work, but then when you get pushed to the main roster, you disappear. So the pay is there. Bobby Roode's loving his paycheck. Nakamura's probably loving his paycheck. But if they look at themselves of the quality of what they're giving the fans, they have to know we were doing better in NXT. So, Jeff, what's your thoughts on the indie revolution? It's not the women's revolution. It's the indie revolution.
I agree with you. Well, for one, I don't watch Impact Wrestling whatsoever. You might
have to start watching it.
Lucha Underground, I don't watch either. PWG, that's just in California. We in Maryland, we have MCW Pro Wrestling. So I go to those shows every time they come around my area. And, they have big names come in, like this July 13th and 14th, we have Mark Henry coming. We have Summer Rae, Rosa Mendez. Nick Aldis was supposed to be there, but he canceled out. I
heard Jeff Jarrett's trying to do something with Global Force again.
Yeah, I heard that.
See, Aaron, time out, Jeff. Time out.
Okay, go ahead.
It's wrestling, Aaron. Don't shake your head. You have wrestlers that sometimes these companies are their means of getting over with the fans. So just because it's not the glitz and the glamour of WWE, don't always shake your head to Impact
I'm
Wrestling.
shaking my head to Jeff Jarrett because anytime I think of Global Force Wrestling, I think of that stupid Global Force Gold, whatever it was, Ponzi scheme.
But I mean, okay, whatever, but that has really nothing to do with the wrestling of it. And there's another one I want to shout out to, Northeast Wrestling as well. I'll be going to a show in Niles, Ohio there on July 21st. But go ahead, Jeff. I just think, again, there's a lot. Like, we get defensive about our wrestling promotions, and we know fans out there get behind them. And we have our friends over in the UK. They have some over there.
So, like I was saying, all these brands, Ring of Honor, NWA, eventually, like you said, Virtue, all these talents are going to end up in NXT. NXT is like the big, even though it's WWE, it's like the big indie promotion. You have Adam Cole there. You had everybody from Ring of Honor go over there. You have people from other promotions go over there. I think it's good. But then, like you said, as soon as they hit the main roster, poof, gone. It's like they didn't even exist in NXT, And I feel, like I said earlier, I feel bad for these people, for these wrestlers. When I went to Ring of Honor, I tell you what, I mean, it was quiet, during the women's match and stuff like that. But when the Young Bucks came out, I mean, that place just went off the roof. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the Young Bucks. Even Hangman Page when he had his match. I mean, something about this whole Bullet Club thing, it just amazed me. It
Is
really
it the
did.
NWO? It's cool to be that type, and the fans
I
are really
think
behind
so.
it.
I think so because even Cody and Marty Scurll, when they came out for their main event against Dalton Castle, big pops, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe obviously the Bullet Club is this generation's NWO, but it's never going to be like the NWO, if you get what I'm saying.
By the
Yep.
way, is that how you pronounce his name, Marty Squirrel?
Yeah,
Squirrel.
It's
Skrull.
Skrull. Jeff,
Skrull.
just say
See,
the villain.
so we-
just
we-
say the
so-
villain.
so
and you'll
we
be
just-
covered.
So we just came up with his gimmick for WWE. He goes to WWE, he can wear a squirrel costume, be Marty Squirrel.
Don't give Vince any idea there.
All right, the villain. I'm sorry.
And then when he gets released from WWE and goes to Impact, then what would he be called? The Rodent.
Rodent, Robbie Rodent, or something like that.
But we can make fun of all this and stuff. At the end of the day, they're really out there to entertain us. And
Maybe he could
TJ,
be. Maybe he could be Squirrely Janetti or something.
Look at Aaron. He's really. We'll go to Aaron last on this. TJS, the Indie Revolution. What do you think?
Well, I just have to say that I'm really thankful for NXT because where did all these other guys end up? EC3, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Ricochet. Where would these guys go if it wasn't for NXT? Because WWE wouldn't sign all of them to go right to the main roster. So I feel like NXT has really created more of a realistic possibility for all these indie workers to end up in WWE. But it's like Jeff said, as soon as they hit the main roster, they turn into jokes or they don't show up at all. Biggest example, look at the Revival. Those guys were putting on 5-star matches, in my opinion, in NXT. Top heel tag team. Look at their stuff with DIY, American Alpha. Those guys were just awesome. Ascension, longest reigning NXT tag team champions. They're jokes now. Samoa Joe hasn't been on TV in a little bit. Nakamura, he should have won the WWE championship, but he didn't. They turned him into this rock star character. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. And I feel like if I was on the independent circuit, like ROH, New Japan, that I wouldn't even want to go to the main roster. I mean, sure, you get a good paycheck, but look what Cody did after he got released. I mean, he's being taken seriously. He's not Stardust anymore. He's
All
the
in.
American Nightmare Cody.
All in. Isn't that a culmination of indie groups?
Yeah,
Indie
10,000 seat arena. Yeah, sold out. And I hope Vince is sweating in his shoes right now, but I really don't think he is. I don't think he is.
Now with that Fox deal and the Australian stadium gimmick, and
And
He's not.
The problem is that they're signing so many people, and it's a situation where it's a really big pond, so it's hard to be the big fish in a pond that big. So what you have is a bunch of guys that get lost in the shuffle and aren't really utilized because there's only so much TV time. And the last thing we need is a third hour of SmackDown. But I mean, if there was a third hour of SmackDown, at least some of those guys would get a spot. But then again, WWE just might drag out those segments and make them even longer, and those guys would still not get opportunities. So yeah, the problem is that there's just not enough spots, and you have overcrowding on the main roster right now. In NXT, there aren't quite as many people, and the guys have more opportunities to shine. But with the main roster, it's a different story. And indie wrestling's doing great right now. There's lots of great talents out there, and WWE's trying to sign them all. They're trying to sign the Bucks. They're trying to sign Kenny Omega, and it's going to be an interesting 2019. Why are you shaking your head, Big G?
They shouldn't, because then if they go to NXT, they'll be there for a while, and then they go to the main roster, and then they might be big for a year or so, and then they'll disappear too.
I think there's a decent chance Omega will go straight to the main roster. I don't think they'll put him through NXT. I mean, he's pretty much the hottest act on the indie scene. He's at the level.
Same with the Young Bucks. I couldn't see them go to NXT at this point either.
They're the hottest acts that are not signed to WWE right now. And let's face it, Bobby Roode, He was a big fish in a very small pond in Impact Wrestling, and same thing with a lot of those guys like Samoa Joe. As great as they are, they were not at that star level that Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are at right now.
Well, do you think the Young Bucks would end up like Gallows and Anderson now?
What, basically just being a mid-card team after a couple months?
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
They'd probably breach your contract. You know what I mean? They'd be like, forget this. But
They would cease and desist.
yeah, I feel like in indie wrestling there's that glass ceiling. So I mean,
Yeah.
WrestleMania is the biggest it can get, and that's what everyone wants to do is main event
Right.
WrestleMania, or at least be on it.
And like I always say, it's about timing, coming in at the right time. Look at AJ Styles. He came in at the perfect time because, remember, when he debuted, a bunch of guys were on the injured list. Seth Rollins was out. Cena was out. Who else was out? There were at least 3 or 4
Cesaro.
different guys. Cesaro
Yeah.
was out. There were a lot of injured people, so they needed some new blood in there. And it got to the point they brought back Shane McMahon because they needed an opponent for The Undertaker. And, you know, so many guys were hurt that Shane got the call. So AJ came in right at the perfect time to step in and become a major superstar before all the other guys came back from their injuries. So with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, it might not be the right time right now because there's just so many people under contract. And I think initially they would be utilized, and it might actually be bad for the people like Samoa Joe and Bobby Roode if guys like Kenny Omega come in, because then there'll be even fewer spots. So I think those guys would suffer first. I think the guys like Samoa Joe and Nakamura, the guys that have been there for a while, would be the ones that would suffer more than anybody else.
And interestingly enough, all the indie wrestlers that come up through NXT, we all kind of know what happens with them on the main roster. AJ, who bypassed NXT, right up there, right?
That's a good
WWE
point.
champion. I mean, so Vince must see something in AJ that he's not seeing in the others.
Right.
Good
So,
point.
all right, main event time, but this is going to be probably our Iron Man match of all 25 no DQ reviews. So,
All right.
Certified G that I'm bringing back topic potluck. So hopefully, and it can be something simple. There's 4 of us. There should be 4 topics. So Jeff, we're going to start with your topic. Bring it up, say your piece, and then pass it along, and then we'll go to TJS, Aaron, and then mine. Hopefully nobody overlaps.
Well, my potluck, I've said, will we ever see eventually down the road the 4 horsewomen of NXT versus the 4 horsewomen of MMA? So, I think eventually we'll see it down the road. I mean, all 4 members of the MMA horsewomen are down in NXT. Ronda Rousey's up on the main roster. Eventually, after this whole Sasha and Bayley feud hopefully is over, we can see all 4 of them coming together, and maybe not next year's WrestleMania, but WrestleMania 36 or even Survivor Series, we could see them down the road. You know, we saw a little bit of it at the Mae Young Classic last year when they went face to face. I really enjoy Shayna Baszler. Ronda Rousey, she's getting better as well. The other 2, I think they're still training right now at the Performance Center. And, I mean, all the 4 horsewomen of NXT, you know, they all have been doing pretty good, yet this whole Sasha and Bayley feud just needs to end already. That's what I think. TGS, what do you think about this?
I think that if we see it, it's going to be a while, because we saw how long it took for Ronda Rousey to have her first match. I mean, she debuted at Rumble and then didn't have her match until WrestleMania. So, and she's only had 2 matches.
Yeah.
And now she's on this suspension thing. And I'm not sure if we'll see that or not. I feel like since Sasha and Bayley are split, then it wouldn't really make sense to do it. And would it be like an inter-promotional thing where, I mean, would just the horsewomen come up from NXT and it seems to be like a big cluster to me. I mean, I'd like to see it. I feel like it would be a good 8-woman tag match. But, you know, I think that this should have been done months ago or even years ago when the horsewomen were still hot. Now they're not. And You have Bayley and Sasha in a comedy feud. Becky's going nowhere, and Charlotte's injured. So, and I guess it would be good to band them together and then have them take on the horsewomen. But I think maybe Ronda will become women's champion first, and then have Charlotte or Becky become women's champion, and then you have a nice little Survivor Series match that you can do there. I don't know. We might see it, Aaron.
I think it makes sense to do it. I think it's definitely a marketable match. It's just a matter of the timing again. I think that if there's a good opportunity to do it, do it. But yeah, like you said, they need to have credibility on both sides. You need to build up the horsewomen. You need to get Sasha and Bayley cooking with gas again, as Jeff Meacham would say. I'll say it for him since he's not here. So yeah, I think if you build it up properly and the timing's right, we will see it at some point. Virtue?
I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon because to me, the only logical way that would make sense, that would make this mean something, and it's not going to be this year at the NoDQ meetup, it would be next year at the earliest, the Survivor Series. I just don't think that Vince McMahon is even thinking of entertaining that. To him, who are the four horsewomen? That's what they call them in NXT. Vince McMahon doesn't know them as that. So it's all singles. I don't think it'll ever happen, to be honest with you, at least in WWE. Unless somebody smartens Vince up, hey, this could be a good idea, let's make it a Survivor Series match. So good one, Jeff. TJS, it's your turn.
Guys, what's going on with Kevin Owens? I need to know. This guy was Universal Champion just not that long ago. And then he's been quite relevant. He had this feud with Jericho, awesome stuff. He had the feud with Shane, awesome stuff. Had the feud with AJ, pretty good stuff. I mean, this guy, he was great. And even when he was losing, he was still looking like a monster. He beat down Vince McMahon, headbutted him, cut him open, powerbombed Shane McMahon on the apron. He was doing great for himself. And now, what are we relegated to? Kevin Owens in a porta potty. He's been just, I don't get it. He's not showing any credibility against Strowman. I get it. You want to make Braun Strowman look strong, but he has the Money in the Bank briefcase. So how strong does he really need to be? I don't get it. Owens, if you watch NXT back when he was in NXT,
he's a badass.
Owens, yeah, he wouldn't run away from Strowman like he does. He would get in his face, use a chair, take out his leg, do something to where you don't look like a geek. I don't get it, man. I don't like it. Do you think that Kevin Owens is going downhill, or do you think that it's just something for him to do while Strowman is holding the contract? Jeff, what do you think?
Good topic. So, like you said, Kevin Owens was a badass in NXT. I mean, his first night in there, he won his match. Then when Sami Zayn won the NXT Championship, what did Kevin Owens do? He powerbombed him on the apron. His first feud on the main roster, John Cena, beat him a couple times, I think. Like you said, Universal Champion, had the feud with Chris Jericho, the Festival of Friendship, powerbombed Chris Jericho on the apron. Lost to Goldberg, unfortunately. Now he's against. I mean, if they made this feud better, I would like it. But you have him running away from Braun Strowman, having his card tipped over, hiding in the porta potty, being pushed over on the side ramp of the entranceway. You come out, you got blue liquid all over you. Like it's crazy. I'm like, the creative doesn't know.
I think that was a rib. I think the porta potty thing was a rib by McMahon because he was marking out publicly for Shania Twain. I think WWE does stuff like that. I do. I do. Through the people I've talked to over the years and like Vince Russo and Vito, that's the culture in the WWE locker room, is ribbing people.
Right.
So they ribbed him because he likes Shania Twain.
Probably.
Okay.
Well, how could we rib Jeff Meacham then?
So, all right. But here's my philosophy with Kevin Owens. He was on the top of the mountain from the very beginning, right? John Cena, Jericho, Shane, and it's like a cannonball, snowball rolling down the hill now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's the problem with sometimes they don't know how to bring people up and have them raised to the top organically, and sometimes they push them to the moon right from the get-go, and then everything seems deflating after the fact. That's my philosophy. They pushed Owens too quick, too soon.
I just think
Like,
it's a
way
stupid
too soon.
storyline that they're making him come off like a total coward.
well,
That's not his character.
I feel like
He's
if,
a prize fighter.
yeah, but I mean, why
Do they
not
even say that
challenge
anymore?
Braun? No, they really don't. But I mean, if he is a prize fighter, why not challenge Braun for the briefcase or something? Do something.
Oh, this reminds me of the other week when they made the joke about his stomach being like a beach ball. And that apparently, that was reportedly a rib
Bowling
on...
balls.
Yeah, bowling ball
ball.
or whatever. That was apparently a rib on Owens for being fat.
Does he have heat? Did he do something?
Vince might just have an issue with him being overweight, or maybe Vince has an issue with, like Virtue said, with him marking out for Shania Twain and being a fanboy when he's supposed to be this larger-than-life superstar. He shouldn't be there marking out to somebody. It makes him come off like a fan instead of a major celebrity. So I kind of get that.
They mentioned Shania Twain on the show, which is interesting, in a backstage segment with Kurt. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah,
Yeah, he offered Kurt Shania Twain tickets. So maybe they are just making Owens look like a total geek. I feel like if Zayn was still around, it would help him.
Yeah, I mean, it's burying the guy. Like the comment about the bowling ball under his shirt. I mean, what was the point of that? It really just felt like it was designed to make Owens look bad and make fun of him for being fat.
I can see the thumbnail for this video. Aaron's going to have Owens and Shania Twain, though. Anyway.
Kevin Owens,
so,
Shania Twain love connection, ? I can make that the clickbait headline for this video.
So did you get enough input there, TJS, for that? I mean, that was a good topic.
That was.
I think I'm good. Just
two for two on good topics. Aaron Rift.
I'll probably ruin it, but we were talking earlier about this, and I'm not sure if we've really addressed it much on this video, but Virtue, I think we were talking about it. I think you were in the conversation about Sami Zayn and the fact that he got injured and he's off television now. Is this a good thing for him or not? And I think we were talking about the idea that, yes, he is avoiding the bad booking, and one might say that the booking with Bobby Lashley really hurt him, but at the same time, he's missing out on the big paydays. So is it a good thing for him or not that he's taking time off right now and he's going to be gone for 6 months? You could argue, well, when he comes back, he'll be a fresh face again and he'll be able to start fresh and people will forget about all the Bobby Lashley stuff. So is it a good thing for him or not? Big G, your thoughts on it?
I think it is. You know, this Bobby Lashley thing was just completely horrible. I mean, before that, he was teaming up with Kevin Owens for the longest time, which was really good. I enjoyed it. I can't remember any of his other feuds. My God, there's so many feuds going on. You just can't really remember who's with who. But I think it's good. Like you said, he'll come back fresh, giving something new to do, just like Dean Ambrose. You know, hopefully Ambrose will come back as a heel. You know, he needs something new.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, there's nothing else to say. TJS.
I don't think that Sami Zayn really needs a reboot. I think that he was really getting in his own with the heel character. I really liked what he was doing. And, I mean, he had 2 torn rotator cuffs, which my girlfriend's a nurse. She told me, like, whenever there's injuries, I just ask her about them, and she tells me how terrible they are or whatever. But, I mean, if he was working with it, then it couldn't have been that bad. He was working in the feud with Lashley, and I kind of feel like he wouldn't have even been in the Lashley feud if he wasn't going to be written off. Because I kind of feel like him and Owens should have been tag champions while they were together. Hopefully, he comes back at a good time, and maybe he'll interfere in another one of Owens' matches, and they can Owens will be world champion or something when he interferes. I don't know. But they were red hot on SmackDown, and it just sucks that he's injured. But, like you guys said, maybe he'll come back. Hopefully he comes back as a heel still. His heel character is much better than his babyface one. So, I mean, I'm hoping that they come back, or that he comes back and he still owns his buddy, and then the two of them can go back on top of the mountain instead of being complete jokes. Aaron?
Well, I think who's going now?
Well, I thought you what? Didn't you started it, Aaron? Didn't you?
Yeah, it's Virtue. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought
go
you said
ahead,
my
Aaron.
name. I was confused. I thought he said my name.
He did, but then you started talking like you didn't go yet. So do you have more to say? Share with us.
I just feel it has its pros and cons, of course. I think financially it's not the best thing for him, but creatively it might be good for him to take some time off and, come back fresh. Look at Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho takes time off, and when he comes back, he's a fresh face again. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise for him. But Virtue, I know you talked about it on Twitter a little bit, so give us your thoughts.
Well, remember when wrestlers got hurt, they wanted to work hurt or come back because they didn't want to lose their momentum. Stone Cold Steve Austin, and now today, Dean Ambrose out for months, Sami Zayn out for months, and it's almost like these guys are on the road so much getting beat up. Remember, it's not all about what we see on TV or what we don't see on TV. Yeah. They do dark matches, house shows, so. Again, we've always said it's a blessing in disguise because you can only hope when you come back that it is refreshed and the fans that haven't seen you for a while are excited to see you again. But it does suck, Aaron. I mentioned this in the chat on your NoDQ Live. It's going to cost Sammy a little bit of money because you have to do your appearances to get more money out of your contract. So that part sucks. But, it is what it is. And with Dean Ambrose, we'll see him back soon. So maybe we can use him as an example. And then down the road, Sami Zayn. And we can revisit this down the road. Did it really work? Does this time off really help? So we'll make Ambrose and Zayn over the next year case studies. So that's really all I got to say about it.
I got a question real quick. This may be a stupid question. But so when wrestlers get injured, they don't get paid? Or they do?
They get their downside.
But they don't get gate or anything like that.
Okay, gotcha.
Obviously, being off TV, it could affect their merch sales. It's a snowball effect.
Gotcha. Okay. I wasn't too sure about that.
A couple weeks ago, we did the best male wrestler in the world. Last week, we did the best female wrestler in the world. Today, now we're going to do tag teams. And it's hard because I kept trying to think who in WWE would I pick. I think I know we're probably going to be unanimous on most of this. So, Big G, I will start with you. Do an honorable mention, and then your number one. Who is the best tag team in the world, and why?
You better not say New Day, or you're in big trouble.
Main event.
Nah. All right. So, my honorable mention will have to go to the Raw World Tag Team Champions, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. Now, they just recently got together a couple months ago after this little feud. They haven't been doing much, they weren't on Money in the Bank pay-per-view. They're into this feud with the B team. The B team is imitating them. So hopefully this feud is over with, and hopefully they'll go on to something better. My number one tag team, they've been cooling off for a little bit lately, but it's going to have to be the Usos. Usos, they past couple years, they had this good feud with the New Day. But that's who I pick is the Usos as my number one. TJS?
Well, honorable mention, I'm going to have to go with the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are good. They're great. My only gripe with them is I feel like they're spot monkeys. They work like spot to spot, and they just come off as like immature to me with the super kick party, and they spam the super kick. Whatever. I don't care that they're a good tag team though. Meltzer Driver is really cool. It's a nice move. The guys are super popular.
Whoa. You're not allowed to use that phrase on this video.
Oh. The Delta Miver is a great move. They're a good team. They're a nice team. But for my best tag team in the world, you guys should know what I'm gonna say. It's the Revival. Those guys they're unparalleled. Even if they're being booked like jokes on Raw, watch their NXT stuff. These guys are a throwback to real tag team wrestling, where there was psychology, where there was actual tag team wrestling and not just throwaway tag matches. They cut the ring in half, they beat you down, they do the blind tags, they do everything that you want in real tag team wrestling. And in NXT, I actually look forward to the tag team matches because the Revival were in them and they were good. They weren't just joke matches like we see on Raw. Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns versus the Revival. They make the matches good.
Are you saying the Revival just because they pinned Roman Reigns?
No. That's just a bonus. I love the Revival.
What have they done for us lately?
That's the problem. They look like jokes.
Well, they pinned Roman Reigns though, and that probably appealed to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me so angry when they don't even get really entrances anymore. They get the jobber entrance, and it just upsets me so much because when they came in, they were feuding with the New Day, and then they got injured, and they came back, injured again. It's ridiculous. The guys debuted. They got a huge pop the night after WrestleMania, destroyed the New Day ice cream cart, beat them 2 times, and now they're jokes.
Well, the word of today's NoDQ review is momentum. Those guys do not have momentum. Even though they did pin Roman Reigns, in the end, it doesn't even matter. I feel like you have to go with a team that is hot right now. If we're talking about right now, July 2018, who is the hottest tag team in wrestling? 6 months ago, I would have said the Usos, or maybe the Bar, but both of them have cooled off over the last couple months. So my honorable mention right now is the Usos because at least unlike the Bar, they're still getting TV time. I'm going to surprise some people, and I'm going to say number 1 is the Young Bucks because they are red hot. Yes, they are spot monkeys, but they're very entertaining spot monkeys. And let's face it, WWE has acknowledged a tag team that does not work for them. To me, that gives you some brownie points right there. That is something to be proud about when the biggest company in the world acknowledges you and makes it clear they want you to work for them. So right now, I got to say the Young Bucks. Virtue?
All right, so WrestleMania weekend, I was at Ring of Honor, and I saw the Young Bucks live. They're my honorable mention. Again, they are the spot monkeys. I can't give a team that's not working for the machine number 1 because I want to, they were Generation Me in TNA. Wait, what? So but that, come on, that's not WWE. So that's why they only get honorable mention. You're doing New Japan, you're doing Wrestle Kingdom. Sorry, DM. WWE is where it's at, and for that reason, and it's not necessarily, we talk about the main roster being boring. I'm going to jump down to NXT. And after NXT TakeOver, and I sat there with Aaron, and I just saw how people reacted. It's clear as day. It's Roderick, to me, it's Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. Now, before Fish got hurt, wasn't he mostly with O'Reilly tagging? So to me, any 2 of the Undisputed Era, if you want to use Freebird rules, but we'll go with the current ones that are wrestling matches. I think the Undisputed Era is, as they stand right now in NXT, they are great. Again, what are they going to be in the main roster? We saw American Alpha, we see the Revival, right? And the list goes on and on and on. But as we speak right now, I saw matches live in attendance, and I got a bigger vibe out of those guys than the Young Bucks. And then the crowds, Aaron, were very close. There was like 8,000 people at the Ring of Honor show in WrestleMania weekend. That was a pretty big crowd. So I got that. But again, I just think Young Bucks, you have to do it in WWE. That's my opinion.
And it could easily change. This could easily change in a couple of months, Like I said, the Usos cooled off relatively quickly. I mean, for a while, I felt like they were the tag team. They were just on fire. And a couple months from now, things could definitely change. So, we'll have to see how things go and see who wins the 2018 No DQ Tag Team of the Year award. Could go in any number of directions, but I think the problem right now is with WWE, there's just a lack of real serious momentum. There's no one tag team that truly stands out as far as I'm concerned. So that's
the Bludgeon Brothers?
Not the Bludgeon Brothers, sadly. But, they might have a good match with Team Hell No. Maybe.
We'll see.
That's it. I mean, that's all I got. Does anybody else want to bring up anything else before we wrap this number 25 up?
Nah, I'm good.
I don't think so.
I think the East Coast peeps are ready for bed.
Well, it's time for plugs, and obviously I'm going to, I'll start with you, Certified G. What's your official new name now?
Big
Just
G.
Jeff?
Big
G or Certified G? What are we going to go with? Make a decision right now in front of the
Big
NoDQ
G.
Galaxy.
The T-shirt says
Big G. Big G.
It's Big G. So now he's got to go back on his Twitter and change that. All right, do your plugs, man.
All right, well, you guys can follow me at NoDQ.com/Jeff. That'll take you to my Twitter page. I'm on Instagram as well, Facebook. Go to NoDQ.com/shirts. Get the Big G shirt. That's it for me. TJS.
You guys, you know what I'm going to say. NoDQ.com/shirts. We got a very nice selection. You see the patriotic shirt that Big G's he's wearing right there. Red, white, and blue. NoDQ.com. Support America. Support NoDQ.com. NoDQ beach ball in the background there of Aaron. There's a nice little deal going. If there still is that deal, the shirt, or not the shirt, the beanie, the beach ball, and the NoDQ championship bracelet. Is that still going? $30?
I have a couple left, but I think I'm saving them for New Japan if anybody wants one, and also Survivor Series. I'm trying to save a few. I might have to just order more, but yeah, most likely I'll have to order more.
Okay, so that deal might come back. We don't know.
Check with me. Email me and check with me.
Check with Aaron, and like I said, NoDQ.com/shirts. We got the Virtues Rage. We got the Big G. We have the NoDQ. Great NoDQ debate shirt is now up. There's a NoDQ review design. There's a TJS design, of course. And you can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_TJS. You can type in NoDQ.com/TJS. It'll take you to my Facebook page. Feel free to add me. It's been a good show, guys. Virtue, you want to get those plugs?
Well, I always close the show. So, Aaron, anything else, or did everyone cover it?
They covered it very nicely. NoDQ.com/shirts. Pick up the shirts. Buy a shirt, as the Giant might say in that infamous NWO promo. That's all I got.
All right. Well, follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Also, NoDQ.com/Virtue will take you to my Facebook page. I am going to have Aaron Rift retire my Virtues Rage shirt on October 30th, my birthday. That will officially get pulled off of the Pro Wrestling Tees. That means you have to get one between now and then maybe we'll have something new after that. And I like to do a little gimmick like that because it puts the clock, the Jericho countdown. And Aaron, I have a feeling, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm really looking forward to my birthday this year in October. I know I'm not going to be at the NoDQ meetup. It's Survivor Series in November. But I just think NoDQ is just going to get even better. Just even better. It's already great, but it's going to get even better by that time. So,
I hope so.
And we appreciate the whole NoDQ Galaxy. Leaving comments, leaving thumbs up. And for those of you that watch and leave a thumbs down, thank you. So, for Aaron Rift, for TJS, and for Big G, I am Virtue. We'll see you next week.